This week on Waxing the Porpoise, G-Baby and the usual suspect Steve once again alter the format, this time to embark on what is sure to be a multi-volume series as we welcome special guest and friend, Richard, aka Dick Dawg, discussing his journey through life which one could describe as Joe Dirt meets Don Quixote. Cut from a type of cloth not found anywhere in nature, Richard takes us from his inception, recounting events and stories throughout his life in attempts to better understand the man, the myth, the legend. Join us while we hoist a few Rocky Mountain smoothies and see where this long and winding road will take us. Let's wax this nomadic porpoise.
Chase, don't do that.
You see, we working on his brow chakra. We're just in back in the crown chakra.
All right, lion face. Lemon face. All right, welcome to Waxing the Porpoise. We are here for another episode assembled on December 3rd in the year of our Lord 2000 and Emmett Smith, 22. So tonight we are abandoning format a little bit, similar to when we had Steve on when we discussed his lifestyle as an advantage player. But tonight we're talking with an old mutual friend who has lived quite a wild life, peppered with more funny anecdotes than you can really shake a stick at. So we just thought it would be a really good opportunity, since we have this thing that we're doing, to get him on and share with the world, because it is a gold mine. So, but before we embark on this vision quest of sorts, let's introduce ourselves. So starting with myself, of course, you got old G-Baby, G-String, G-Funk era.
It's the G-Funk era.
And to my virtual far right, we have co-host, the usual suspect, Steve.
Hillbilly? What? White trash?
What are you talking about?
How you doing, man?
Doing good. This is like the after school special, or like the 80s sitcom where it's like a very special Family Ties this week.
Oh, shit.
Dude, I've been watching a ton of that lately, like special, like Alf Christmas specials and like Garfield and shit like that. Like, yeah. But this will be a little bit different. Suffice to say. And last but not least, joining us tonight, we have a special guest, again, our longtime friend and colleague. We have Richard, aka Dick Dawg, Dickard, Young Dick Young.
There he goes. One of God's own prototypes. A high-powered mutant of some kind never even considered for mass production.
How's it going, man?
It's going great, guys. I'm glad you guys are having me on. I also go by Richard Weddle Young, but the state of California made me drop the Young on my real IDs.
True?
Now I'm just Richard Weddle.
Really?
Yeah, because the real ID, Young wasn't on my birth certificate, so they made me drop it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Fuck, so you had to go back on like all your accounts and like...
name.
It sounds like a pain in the fucking ass.
Oh, it was. I didn't even have my birth certificate. I had to, during COVID, get it from the Hall of Records in Carson City, Nevada, where I was born. That's where the journey started. And I think that's why you
State
guys
capital.
have me on. Yep. I think that's why you have me on, is to tell about my little journey along the way to get me to where I am today.
Was it a
Yes.
paper birth certificate, or did they have to carve it into slate?
Yeah, it was pretty expensive shipping on that one.
Richard is he's 78 years old, so
I feel it.
that's a joke. He's a young man.
Yeah, 46.
46.
Damn. Yeah, I'm getting up. I'll be in the 40s here pretty soon. I'm turning 38 next month. Holy ballsack.
Damn.
I love that part in
Yes.
Tombstone where Doc Holliday's like, I'm peak physical condition or whatever. He's like, yeah, you look it.
He's fucking coughing up blood into a kerchief. And he's paler than a fucking alabaster tub. God, he looks terrible in some of those fucking scenes. Just like cold sweat and like, anyway. So yeah, just Dick has like just, we worked with him for a decade and known him just as long. Just a shit ton of stories, fun anecdotes. I mean, you got a million of them. So, I mean, what better format, you know, in this kind of long player to dig into it. So I'm glad you made the time to join us. And yeah, I don't know, where do we want to start on this journey?
Well, like I said, it could start in Carson City, May 2nd, 1976. I know Steve doesn't like actual places being mentioned, but I figure I could bring that one up.
Yeah, I think the general idea was we're trying to like keep some sort of like shell of privacy on like where we're at
No,
now,
I understand that. That's
kind
why
of
there's
thing.
stories
But
where I don't want to name people's names and
yeah.
stuff outside of like my family. But
One thing too, sorry to cut you off. Before we get going, another thing I felt like we should set the table with is the way I think about this, and no disrespect intended. I picture your life thus far is kind of like an amalgamation of like Joe Dirt in the nicest way, mixed with like Don Quixote.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of like the mindset we're getting into. And that's why we thought it would be entertaining and fun just to, besides just a chance to bullshit and throw shit to the wall and see what sticks. That's kind of the vibe that I have concerning your life. It's just it's been a wild ride. So sorry to cut you off. So we're in Carson City, late 70s.
Yep. Born there to Willie Ralph Weddle and Donna Louise Young. Do know that the trailer park that I lived in is still standing because when I got my birth certificate, it had the address on there and Google mapped it, and it's still a big old trailer park. So that's
Holy
where
shit.
I lived. What's that?
When you say a trailer park is still standing, you mean that section of Earth still exists?
Oh, there's a lot of trailer parks in this story, but it all started with the trailer park. And don't know much about that time. I know that when I was about 2, my mom moved me and my 2 older sisters, Jennifer, who is 4 years older than me, and Melissa, who is a year older than me, back to the Bay Area. Melissa she had epilepsy on top of a bunch of other problems. She battled with that her whole life, just to set the table for my little family. From what I know, and a lot of these things I know, I can't ask anybody in my life any of these questions. My sister Jennifer is the only one who is around now. I mean, I have my aunt, but my aunt wasn't around and wouldn't know the answer to any of these questions.
Right.
My grandparents are gone. So there's a lot of questions.
R.I.P. Pour one out.
What's that?
I said R.I.P. Pour one out.
But it's just weird when you think you don't. At the time, you're thinking, "Oh, I'll be able to find this stuff out." Because I remember I used to ask my grandfather questions and stuff like that. Hear stories, and I take for granted not asking more questions about my past because now there's no way to know any of these. So we moved to the Bay Area, and one of the things I did learn from my grandfather before he passed is that when we moved back, we didn't have anywhere to live. And the Naval Air Base in Alameda just closed down. So it was abandoned. So you had all these housing. And still to this day, if you drive through there, there's a lot of breweries and stuff along the waterfront. Mm-hmm. Like where Billy Bean, what the fuck's his name? Brad Pitt went driving and Moneyball. Yeah. Right along that. So there's breweries and stuff down there. But as you drive into that, there's all this old housing. Well, apparently, my grandfather, who was the police chief of Alameda in the 70s, was able to get us a spot in one of those. So I don't remember that. I was too young. Mm-hmm. But then as I started to get older, probably like 3, I remember my mom was dating this guy who she dated for quite a while, because I remember him. But I remember being in a lot of crazy situations. Not that my mom put us in, but like I remember being at this house right by the freeway in Oakland. I remember one night we were sleeping on the kitchen floor.
Sure.
At least I was. I don't know. Maybe I just passed out there. But then all of a sudden, there's all this commotion outside, and the old paddy wagon pulled up. And just saw like 7 guys get thrown in the back of this van and hauled off to jail. And I think Bob was one of them. And so there was a time.
Was Bob your mom's boyfriend?
Who's Bob?
Bob.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob was my mom's boyfriend.
Gotcha.
And so my early recollection, we bounced around. We lived in this old Victorian house somewhere in Oakland that I try to find all the time.
Wait. Well, sorry, I just want to establish the timeline. I'm thinking, so you were born in Carson City to Willie Ralph. What a name, by the way, combo.
Willie Ralph Whittle.
So did your mom and him like right away just like, this ain't gonna work, and he just bounced, or he was like, fuck this, I don't want to live the family man life? Or do you not?
No. My mom actually, she told me later on, she's all honestly, because she had with Melissa and Jennifer, obviously. Well, Melissa, obviously, but Jennifer, she could be a handful too. I was perfect, I think.
Perfect baby boy.
Oh, yeah. She even told me that. She's all, you hardly cried. But she told me later, she's all, I was just a bitch at the time, but it obviously wasn't going to work out. I did get to meet my father later in life. Went and had coffee with them up in Washington, and it was weird. We wrote some letters back and forth. I was visiting my friends, and I had his information, and I had my uncle's information on the other side of this 3x5 card, and I thought I was calling my uncle, and I accidentally called my dad, which I didn't think.
Oh, so you weren't planning to connect with him?
No, I had it, and I just wanted to see. I was going up there with my friends for the weekend, and I just had that information because Dan, or my buddy Dan, knew how to use the internet back then. This is like 1998. And
shit.
So he was able to get his information. And
so in 98, you would have been.
But it wasn't, at that moment, I wasn't planning to call him.
Gotcha.
You would have been roughly 22 in 98?
Yeah.
So from what years did you go without seeing him, like basically from birth?
Two. They separated. From what I know, I think that they separated and we moved back to the Bay Area. I don't know if there was a time between when I was born, but it wasn't like he took off or anything.
Right. But what I'm asking is, so there was like a 20-year gap from when you saw him. Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. And not to belabor the point, but was that just a circumstance of like him living in another state and having to work, or did he like not want anything to do with you, or is it more complicated? We don't have to get into it.
No. I remember like I said, we lived a nomadic lifestyle. So
nomads, they move.
Yeah. I remember back in '85 sending him coloring. Like a coloring book picture of like Buffalo Bill Cody, and writing him a letter, and he wrote back because I said I was a Niner fan, and that was the year they played the Dolphins in the Super Bowl. So there was communication along. Remember how that? Hey, we played this week, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Synchronicity.
And so
was that 85?
Yeah. Well, the 84 season, 85.
84.
Yeah. So it was January.
84, 80. Gotcha.
So there was attempts at communication along the way, but I don't know. It was never anything that I'd been missing in my life. So it was never anything that I sought out. All the males that had been around my mom were kind of asshole-ish. There was never anybody nobody ever took me out to play catch or nothing. It was, and this Bob guy was
I still regret that, Richard.
What?
I still regret that. I'm sorry. So you had
I never missed that. I had a wall to throw a tennis ball against, man. I was fine. I can throw and catch.
Dennis Leary and the Sandlot. You had a bunch of those, like reluctant stepdads.
Yeah, throwing a fucking ribeye on your fucking eye to keep the swelling down. No, yeah, I wasn't trying to insinuate anything. Like, I was curious because, like, a lot of this too for the listeners. I mean, even though we've known each other for so long, like, I don't know anything about your mom, and like, that key incident that we're kind of building up to, or I didn't know you had an older sister. I thought
Yeah,
it was
she
just
actually
Melissa.
she's in the Corning Christmas parade tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, her and my
She's
niece.
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So she's still in that area.
Yeah.
Been there for a while.
Nobody
I'm
travels out
assuming?
of town to be in the
No,
Corning.
she flew in for it.
I flew in for the hometown Christmas.
I live in Hong Kong now, but I flew in for the Corning Christmas parade.
And I didn't like your dad. Like that's something I never wanted to pry on because after hearing you say stuff, it's not the same at all, but pretty similar. Like my mom, I didn't know my dad in the beginning, and she bounced around to a bunch of dudes who were fucking assholes, save for one that was good to me. But yeah, I didn't know like your like the real story between like you and your dad, and like why. I was just more curious than anything, like why that distance happened.
And I actually kind of feel like an asshole sometimes when I sit back and reflect because I went up and saw him before my mom left us, and I remember he and his wife Connie, and I met my stepbrother, and ironically, I have a actual older half sister that I've never met.
Crazy.
Through him.
Yeah, like I have a half brother too that I've met a handful of times.
And
I'm getting kind of weird, like deja vu here, hearing you tell this a little bit.
I actually have a half brother that my mom had when she was in high school and gave up for adoption.
Holy shnikes!
Always expecting a knock on the door. I mean, because that's how it got done back in the day. You knock on the door or ring the telephone in the kitchen. And she was always expecting that one day. And so, yeah, I have two half siblings that I've never met.
Damn.
Well, if you ever do one of those like 23andMe, Ancestry.com things, it could pop up on there too.
Yeah, and my dad was adopted. So, yeah.
Dude, you should do a 23andMe or one of those genetic things. It'll trace your... Dude, that would be fucking interesting. That's fucking interesting, man. Where's that bump?
Yeah, he's gonna have a hard time doing it though, because I've seen him try to give blood multiple times, and they literally could not squeeze liquid blood out of his body, but he still got the snacks.
I gave blood back in May, and she's all, "Holy shit, you're done with your pint already." So I unclogged something over these Coors Lights have been thinning me out.
You uncorked something?
That's fucking interesting, man. That's fucking interesting.
Your blood type is ragu.
With trace elements of Cheez-Its.
They even gave him the special sticker they give to people who like pass out that says, "I tried to donate blood today." I still get my Chips Ahoy.
Your mini Sprite.
Yeah.
And then one last thing sorry, this is the last thing I'll derail on because I'm curious, because I never heard you talk about her, which is not like alien or anything, but are you close with your older sister? What's her name? You said Jennifer?
Jennifer. Yeah, a lot closer now. I actually gave her a call today after I talked to you guys earlier. And that's how I knew she was in the parade. I mean, we don't talk all the time. She's over there in Corning, and growing up, no, we did not get along.
Gotcha.
And I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat it. Now, we didn't. I mean, I know a lot of people who don't get along with their siblings where it's a lot worse than us, but we never really tried to make friends. And there was Sheeta. Actually, she has a crazier journey than me because she was along the journey my way. And then she ended up going on a cross-country trip in a VW van on a little hippie trip, and ended
Charles
up
Manson.
We hadn't heard from her in 9 months to over a year. And I think it was Thanksgiving Day, get a call, and it was Jennifer, and she was in New Hampshire. And
holy shit.
We hadn't heard from her. Nobody knew where she was. She calls and, well, hey, I can't remember if it was collect or what, but she calls and she's all, "Hey, is Mom there?" And I was like, "Yeah, Mom, Jennifer's on the phone." So it wasn't like I went, "Oh my God, Jennifer, how are you doing?" Like, we weren't that close.
It hadn't been that fucking long. You're like, hey, she's on the phone.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, and hopefully she laughs about this when she hears it. And I know she will because, we weren't close, and she ended up coming back to California to Corning in the late 90s. And
okay. So she's been there a while.
Then we started becoming a little bit closer and stuff. And then, as the last 20 plus years have gone on, we become a lot closer.
Nice.
We don't go sit down and have dinners and stuff, but we keep in touch, and I'll stop by and see her whenever I'm in Corning.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I went off on a couple tangents there. I mean, honestly, that's just me, like, not knowing, and this being like the format we're all talking about shit like that. It's like I've never thought to ask. Or I didn't even know that you had any other siblings. I thought it was just you and your sister Melissa were thick as thieves.
Yeah, pretty fucked up. I knew all this stuff already. Anyway, so last we heard you were sleeping.
Wow. Yeah, we left off
you
when you were in a Victorian in Oakland.
Also, on a kitchen floor for some reason.
Wait, to preface this too, you said call collect. I know a lot of the younglings that listen to this shit too probably don't know what the fuck collect is. That's when if you didn't have any money, you used to be able to call like 10, what was it, like 1010 824, like 1020 collect. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a shit ton. I remember all the commercials too. They were vying against each other.
Or was that?
Oh yeah.
No, that was a 1010 220. But we didn't do that. I'm older than that. I'm older before that, dude. You just hit 0 and get the operator and tell them you needed to collect.
Or 1-800-COLLECT. I remember that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 1-800-COLLECT, dude. That's insane.
The beauty of the 1010-321 is the one I remember. Is they would give you like a second to say you have a collect call from, and you'd say Bob, but there was those funny old commercials where you could be like, Bob, we had a baby, it's a boy. And like if we were out somewhere and we needed our parents to come pick us up, and be like, you have a collect call from, I'm at the mall, I need a ride.
Yeah.
Just
you
really
learn to work the system, especially when
really
your paying the charges.
They don't pay for it because they don't accept it.
Yeah, that's why I said that's how you learn to work the system. You don't accept the call.
Yeah, because then they'd be like, will you accept a call from Bob, we had a baby, it's a boy. And then you could just say no, but the message still came across.
The message got
otherwise,
through.
like you'd say like, will you accept charges from so-and-so for this call? And then they connect you, and then it's like they'd bill collect. So they'd bill the recipient who's on the other end of the phone line like 10 cents a minute or 20 cents a minute, whatever the fuck it was. But it's crazy how that seems so, like, to me, I think about it, that seems so fucking ancient.
Right.
But it really wasn't that long ago. Anyway, and then also you said Bay Area. I know there's a lot of different Bay Areas around. Like, we're talking about the San Francisco Bay Area.
East Bay, dog. El Cerrito, Oakland. And beautiful Alameda.
Is that near Bay Farm Island? And if so, is it true that that's not actually an island?
Bay Farm Island is not an island. I was recently there, and I drove onto the mainland without having to cross any bridges. I did have to cross a bridge to get to Alameda, but not to Bay Farm Island.
So sleeping on the kitchen floor.
We're sleeping on the kitchen floor in Oakland, and then you moved. I think we left off. You moved to a Victorian in Oakland.
Yeah, so I think it was abandoned. Because I remember there was one room where the roof was non-existent. And this is
Edward Scissorhands.
Dude, I was picturing like Fight Club when like Edward Norton's riding around that dilapidated building in a bike. He's like, I am Jack's medulla oblongata.
No, but
that's insane.
Yeah, and I just remember some crazy. We lost a dog for a week that was under their house.
How long before is this close to the time frame where you had your first pet that committed suicide at your hand?
No. That was much later. Oh shit! Holy shit! Yeah, forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an early one. I'll get to that because it is Oakland and not far from there. And this could be around that time. So yeah, we were just
I
living
thought
in a
so.
lot of really random, weird places while my mom was dating this Bob guy. And Bob owned a used car lot. So that was one cool thing is if we were at the car lot, I'm just walking around looking at all these very luscious late 60s, early 70s models being resold there on the market. And
Dude, that's another weird thing too, because I had a stepdad at a time who was a fucking used car salesman too.
yeah,
I could see the
I know
look
what you're
on your
talking about.
face. You were like, "This is a kismet moment right now." Like,
It is, man. It's so crazy. Like, oh, did you see that Corvette fucking Stingray? Like,
Yeah, I didn't even know. I just saw cars. I mean, beyond my first thing before collecting baseball cards was Hot Wheels. Man, I loved Christmas. You just give me Hot Wheels, I was happy.
nice.
Matchbox, okay,
Yeah.
but if you went outside of those two, then what? What'd you say?
no,
It
then
made me think of a
we're just having a weird autistic mind meld connection over here.
Yeah. Old coworker that fucking was like who was an adult and still loved Hot Wheels.
Yes,
and one time we walked in on a conversation with him and his old lady about his like Hot Wheels addiction. And it was just, I opened the door and it was like, and he was on the phone. And he was like, and then he ended it and he was like, not allowed. The fuck does that mean? And I just inferred like you're not allowed to fucking buy Hot Wheels anymore because it's a fucking problem, man.
Yes, and that was 100% correct because she was much older than he was, and I remember a lot of people weren't sure like, is that his mom picking him up or girlfriend? And no judgment, but it was a funny juxtaposition when he got off the phone and was like, not allowed. Like he couldn't compute. Like, did she just say I'm not allowed to buy any more Hot Wheels?
Yeah. The fuck does that mean?
Yeah. Like pretty clear.
Oh, fuck. Sorry. Yeah, that just triggered me.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. And
if he's listening, sorry, we love you. He's not.
So yeah, we bounced around place to place, and then we settled at this house in El Cerrito on Elm Street, living with Bob. And I remember this is before I was in school, but Melissa was in kindergarten, and this is such a commentary on how times have changed, or how bad of a mom my mom was. So we lived along the BART tracks, circa 1980, and
BART means Bay Area Rapid Transit.
Yes, thank you for filling that in. The L, I guess they call it in some places.
No.
My sister, Melissa.
No, that's the L train.
Yeah, nobody calls it that.
That's a route for a train, I think, in like Chicago.
Well, I think in Chicago they call it the L because it's elevated,
It's elevated.
like the
Yes.
EL.
Oh.
But then there are
dude,
other train. Yeah. Anyway,
that just blew my mind.
You didn't know that?
Sorry. Well, I know they're elevated. I've seen fucking The French Connection before, but
I've seen
I didn't
Family
know
Matters.
Yeah. I didn't know that the L was like, oh, it's elevated. So the whole train, I always figured people like, oh, I took the L, like the L route was like the most like popular route on that train. Nuts. Anyway, got her number.
Yeah, so you guys are hanging out on the railroad tracks. What, throwing rocks at trains or what?
No, because it was
Mr. Highwayman.
It was elevated. But so the first school I went to was right next to the L, or to the BART tracks, and we lived on Elm Street, about 3 blocks away. And Melissa was in school a year before I was. I was smart enough where I didn't need to go to preschool or anything fancy like that. So when she was in kindergarten, I was free at home to watch cartoons and do whatever.
Good
But
call.
I remember on a regular basis, I would walk down to the school and walk Melissa home. So I'm 4, she's 5, and we're just in the Bay Area walking, freely.
Yeah, you couldn't. How long of a walk would you say? Less than a mile? More than a mile?
No, these are city blocks. I'm saying 3-4 blocks.
It was 14 or
I've
15
gone back a
stops on the
couple
BART.
times trying to. No stops on the BART there, but
No, yeah. If you picture that nowadays, that's probably like
you'd be called
that's
on.
insane.
Yeah.
You'll
Dick,
get CPS called on you.
Dick, you had mentioned your sister Melissa had epilepsy. Did she have? I thought she had some other kind of like developmental issue.
See, this is one of those things that I didn't. I don't want to say I didn't care. I just knew she had special needs. I didn't get into everything, and so I never really sat down and talked to my mom. But it's one of those things when everybody's gone in your life that you can ask those questions of. Jennifer might be able to help me answer that, and it's something that but I know she's no PhD, so I'm not sure how good her memory is. But I just know she was epileptic, took a drug called Depakote. Epileptic. And
all the letters are there, but the order might be quite. Okay, yeah, because I don't like the way you'd always talked about her. I just kind of assumed it was like some kind of developmental thing. So I was just kind of surprised when you said epilepsy.
And she had physical problems too. Like she had a lot of leg problems. So I don't know the full scope of, and it's sad.
It was probably a different time too, where they're like, oh, that kid's different. They wouldn't take her in to get a full diagnosis or.
So I was in the Bay Area and El Dorado County. And even when I moved to Bay, I did not go to the same school as my sister, Melissa, until I moved to Corning.
Well, everybody's
so no matter what school
there.
I was in, they did not have the classes available for her. So she always had to be, sometimes it would be in a station wagon. Somebody would come pick up like 6 or 7 kids and then drive them the 30 miles to the school they needed to go to. So I never went to school with her until I was in high school. She was a sophomore. I was a freshman.
Was it El Dorado County where you lived in a camper shell that was not attached to a vehicle, but just the ground?
Yeah. I'll get to that one later.
Okay.
So, but it was just a different era in that day, I mean, we were allowed to run around and do whatever, be home by dark. And even at an early age, we're out just riding our bikes and you go around the corner. Now you're up and down, 5 houses either way in front of your house. And that's where you're allowed to go, at least at that age.
I think that's a pretty recent development too, because like I'm like 10 years your junior, and I remember in my day, so early to late 90s, like I remember being the same way. You could walk, to school. I mean, people still do that, but like I could get on my bike and be gone all day. No one would wave and bat an eye at it. I know it's still different in bigger cities, like especially like you talking about Oakland, like that's a pretty big deal. That's a different animal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you think about it today, like I've heard cases of like, a kid 7 and 10, they walk, half a mile to the park from their house, and the cops pick them up and deliver them to their door. And they're saying, do you know where your kids were? And then there's other horror stories with like CPS get involved and like bad parenting, all these kinds of things. Shit has gotten amped up, I think, in like the last 15, 10, 5 years. It's completely different. And I don't know if that's because the information access to everything, like you're aware of all the fucked up things that can happen to kids and stuff, or if it's a mixture of just, we're just way too soft and ultra hyper focused on shielding and like putting a fucking insulated bubble around everyone. Either way, like I don't think it's a good thing. I'm more tend to think it's just like one of those things. Like the more information you have, there's more stuff out there. That doesn't mean there's been like a fucking exponential increase of, kids getting made off with in a van and like,
Right.
all these things you have to worry about. I think just people now are just hyper focused on trying to trying to s- to keep as much potential harm from their offspring as possible. And like when you go to that extreme, it's like, what are you doing to that kid? At the end of the day, like,
Well, yeah, and then
I
there's
don't know. Time,
unintended.
time will tell, but it doesn't seem good. Like
No,
being like the helicopter parent every fucking where,
yeah, there's a lady in, I think it's Waco, Texas right now, who is looking at, felony prison time because I think she was driving her kids home and one of her kids was like being a little shit, like an 8-year-old. And she's like, if you don't quit fucking around, you're gonna walk home. The kid didn't stop. So she's like, all right, get out and walk home. I think it was maybe a quarter mile in a suburb neighborhood. And some neighbor called the cops and was reported it. So then the cops came because they have to, and they're threatening her with like all these crazy child endangerment charges. Like, yeah, so take the parent away. That's a really good
Yeah,
recipe for
perfect.
raising the kid.
Put them
But
into
yeah,
the system.
yeah,
Put them
I
into
remember.
CPS and foster and all that shit. Yeah, that won't fuck that kid up.
I'm just maybe a year or two younger than Jim, and I can remember being in kindergarten because I was stupid. I had to go to kindergarten, unlike Richard, apparently.
No, I just didn't have to go to preschool, man. I had to go to kindergarten.
And I remember walking to school, and I mean, it wasn't like I was in the middle of Compton, but it wasn't a super great neighborhood. And I was walking to school at like 4. So
Yeah.
looking back, I don't know if I would let my kid do that if I had one.
Yeah, that's the other
God
thing too.
forbid.
Like, I can
Dude,
talk out of
there's
one side of my mouth and then say another out of my others. Like I have a 6-year-old daughter right now, and I wouldn't trust her to walk across the street with a fucking nickel. So,
there.
am I a hypocrite? Maybe.
No. There's a guy, and he went away for a while, but that stands down by the East Avenue Safeway. So just by my house, when you go down there, and he'll just sit there, just grinning at people and talking with some people um, that we work with that have lived in the area, that have lived here, and their
Mm-hmm.
kids. And this guy has scared the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And he was gone for a while, and now he's back. And he does. You just see him standing there doing crazy stuff just by the side of the road, like. And he has
Yeah,
no
sometimes
problem.
that's all it'll take too. You see some like
Yeah,
one creepy fucking dude or yeah.
but those people may have been around back then, but they're usually probably drug inside and taken care of somewhat. It was a different era, man.
Yeah.
You were allowed to go around.
Yeah, you're able to run around barefoot and fucking, like go catch a snake or like, it's like some of that's hyperbole, but it really was like I don't think people like that are younger now can understand how different I mean how different it feels to me. Like it feels now very very plastic and like bubble boy, like everyone's got a bubble around them and very very short leash, which again I said maybe I'm a hypocrite on, but um I don't know. That's a tough thing because it is hard to reconcile in your inside your mind because the more you know, it's like the more you can be afraid of, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back to you. Like, so
So
you're walking your
yeah, it's
sister
just
back, and she's a year older than you.
yeah, but she had special needs, and so she definitely needed the escort. But like I said, it was just different back then, and so when I ended up going to in kindergarten and going to school, the teachers there knew me. Like my teacher already knew me from. I don't know if she was Melissa's teacher or just knew me from being down there, and it was awesome. Started a kindergarten. I was in school. We lived in this house that actually had a full roof and everything.
Running water.
Yeah. And then I remember my mom and Bob getting in a fight. My mom showed dogs. And
Yes.
yes. and she had a couple Dalmatians that one of them I think is on the wall here.
Terrible dog.
She's holding a trophy. And so I remember she had two of them, and Bob, for whatever reason, took the dogs up into the Oakland Hills and released them, never to be found again.
Jesus Christ. That's one way to settle an argument.
So, and then the next thing I
You
remember...
know those dogs you like so much?
They were expensive and worth money.
Dude, fuck that.
So
what a slime ball.
I did last thing I remember from that house is we had a yellow Ryder truck backed up and we were moving our stuff out, and we had a little parakeet named Petey. I don't know what the bird's name was, but he went and he threw
He's
the bird
so quiet.
Yeah. Harry, I said I took care of it.
He threw the bird cage into the van with the bird in it, thus pretty much killing the bird.
Like he winged it from the hip, like softball side?
No, he just took the cage and threw it into the van, and
Jesus Christ. That was his final salvo?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So, not knowing the whole story, the next place we moved, still in kindergarten, we moved to Oakland and lived. I went to Franklin Elementary. That was school number 2, kindergarten year. And we lived in the residential spot of this bike shop. So a used bike shop, which was cool because we had any kind of, like, we always had a bike to ride. I just remember there'd be like 50 bikes. I mean, I don't know if I'm over or under exaggerating that number, but there were a lot of bikes, and they may have been in the living room. And I remember it was close to.
Wait. So you were able to move into a furnished bike shop that had bikes
furnished. I don't know. I can't recall exactly how legal it was to be residential or how legal it was for it to be a commercial. Like, I can't remember. I just remember bikes. And in the back of this place, there's a big house in Oakland again, but we lived there, and I have some crazy pictures of like Christmas at that place. And I remember being in a bunk bed, and once again, rain coming down and starting to get rained on from the leaky roof above my bed. So this wasn't the greatest
window.
place.
I can't stand the rain. Sorry.
Blame it on the rain. Milli Vanilli.
Bikes!
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sorry.
But we lived there, and it was close to the bike shop. I don't know if Bob was somehow involved in that too.
Wait, so Bob is still in the picture after shot putting Tweety into the
From what I recall. Maybe not. All right. Because I'm saying a lot of my memory starts from...
Bob's status unclear. Okay.
Got it.
Because after we moved out of that bike shop with whoever we lived in, or lived with, I went to my third school in kindergarten, Balboa Elementary, and that was in El Cerrito.
Can I ask a question real quick? Because I know you so well, I know that you've been to no less than 157 separate schools. Are we going to go through every single one?
Yeah, we're still in kindergarten, and we're at the 45-minute mark.
we are 42 years ago.
So I was trying to set some.
No. I understand.
You can cut stuff out. All right. So El Cerrito, Balboa, kindergarten. All right.
After
myself.
name every teacher you can remember from Balboa Elementary.
One pillow.
I can't remember. It closed down, but the one thing I was going to say there, that was my first remembered concussion.
Okay. Wait, so I want to be clear for the listeners too, because when you said this, I fucking internally I about died. So you like listed off like key points in your life. You listed off schools, and then you said you had a separate list of concussions listed out, and so this is number one.
As far as I know, who knows? I could have been
just the ones you remember.
Yeah.
Right. So that school closed down. Had to go to school in Richmond. Still living in the trailer park in El Cerrito.
Nice.
Went to school there 1 year. My sister Jennifer actually ended up going to school in Dixon with my cousin because she could not handle the people gave her a hard time there. I had a good time there, but she was sent away with my aunt. That lasted 1 year, and still living in the same trailer park. We went up the hill for the next year and a half to Mira Vista to, be hill folk, feel like nice and rich. But we were having to walk like mile and a half home, 28-minute walk. Would take the bus up to school in the morning, but then have to walk home every day.
Damn. See, that's something I can't picture, like some kids like these days, like traversing different like bus routes and like a 28-minute like sojourn from school to home.
Yeah, during that time,
pretty heavily populated area. Like, that seems like intense.
Well, we were right across the street from the BART station then, and it's kind of funny because you're talking about bus routes. Between collecting Hot Wheels and baseball cards, every morning I would take all the bus route schedules, and there was like 30 of them. So I'd collect every schedule, and I knew all the bus routes around the Bay Area, at least leaving from that area. It was kind of a fun thing to do, couldn't afford toys. So,
and you would do what with them? Just read them?
Read them.
Just know them?
Well, they didn't. They didn't change from day to day, did they?
The what?
They didn't change daily, did they?
No, but sometimes it'd be out or get wet, you lose it. I'm a kid, man. I'm in second grade by then.
Or you just hypothetically like, oh man, this is my fucking dream route right here.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I had one. I'm sure I looked at anything that went up into the hills was nice. But so we were living in that trailer park for looks like about 3 years, and my mom finally had enough, and we had a friend hitch up the trailer, and we moved up to a dog show friend of hers was living in Coloma, where gold was discovered.
All right.
Coloma,
I've got to stop you because you skipped over the first dog suicide story. I know that happened when you were living in the Bay Area.
No, so that's probably Oakland kindergarten. So my mom we had it may have been a Bouvier and then a skipper key. So we were.
Are those breeds of dog, or
these are relics of a bygone era? What the fuck is a skipper key?
Are these models of '60s cars at Bob's lot?
A skipper key is like a fat, kind of longer hair, wiry Chihuahua.
Oh,
toy breed. And I think it was a Bouvier that we had, so a bigger dog. So my mom has the 2 dogs at the vet. Comes out, and we're on a main drag in Oakland. She gives me the skipper key to hold, and while she has the van door open in the back, she's going to put the bigger dog into the crate at that point, and then I assume put the smaller dog into the crate, but it never got to that point because the dog jumped out of my hands in between the 2 front seats of the van, out the door, down the sidewalk, and into traffic on this main Oakland street, and got hit by a car in front of me.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, from what I remember when
you were kindergarten age?
Yeah.
When this happened? Fuck.
It's not a funny story, but the way he originally told it, from what I remember, his mom was like, here, hold Skippy or whatever the fucking dog's name was and don't let him go. And then promptly just immediately let go, and the dog jumped out, ran straight into traffic under a car.
Fuck, man. Yeah, it's not funny, but it's funny. Like, come on.
No, in retrospect, like when you're
Well,
When you're
yeah,
not a
because
sad person, then
without
you can.
without foreshadowing too much, this is the first of a pattern of animal suicides related to Richard. So when he would tell these stories later, you see a pattern developing. Like, well, maybe it's you, friend.
All right.
Fuck.
So we moved up to Coloma in El Dorado County. Went to Gold Trail Blazer here.
Yeah, you lived in
And
Lotus, right?
yeah, down the road. I think they had their own elementary school. I don't know, maybe
No, I used to always ask him if he lived in Lotus. He's like, no, I never fucking lived there, but that's where our bus stop was. Such a weird thing to get mad about, but all right.
Yeah.
No,
Get it right.
my fucking bus stop.
I don't sound like that.
Isn't Coloma, that's like right on the edge of like the Sierra Nevadas? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, it's heading up to Tahoe area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so we lived in the Coloma Resort, which was a trailer park / campground. And we lived there for about 2 years. 85, the flood came and almost took our trailer away. We were the last trailer in the mobile home park. Almost washed it down the road. We were probably about 20 feet from like really high waters. Never had us evacuated or anything, but
They never had you evacuated, but you were the only trailer that survived.
no, they all survived. We were the last. Sorry, that sounded bad. We were the last trailer in the lot, so we were the closest to the water.
Gotcha. Very
All right,
different.
sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Dude, that reminds me of the joke Robin Williams did. I think he said, you know the difference between a tornado and a divorce in the South?
In one, you hang yourself with your own belt.
Nothing. Someone's losing a trailer. Sorry. All right.
So yeah, in that time, concussion number 2 happened. I was at school walking up the ramp, and somebody
Did we
down
ever
at the
hear
basketball
concussion number
court-
1?
We did.
What? Yeah.
What was number 1?
Oh, I didn't really talk about it. I got hit by a ball in kindergarten, and my head hit the concrete, and I remember hearing like an egg cracking sound.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I had a headache for a while on that one.
Was it like a baseball or a...
No, like a big
Dodgeball?
rubber ball. This is in kindergarten, so it was like one of
So
those.
it was like
big
a
rubber
handball,
balls.
but that's not what caused it. It knocked you
was
down.
hitting
And
the ground,
you did the head snap on the back on the ground.
Yeah, and then you hear the egg cracking sound. But
fuck.
Well,
so concussion number 2. How'd that happen?
Same way, harder ball. Somebody kicked a basketball. Somebody
Harder
kicked a
ball
basketball as I'm walking up this ramp, and it just comes flying from, half a basketball court away, and just hits me on the side of the head, and once again, go down and hit my head. So that's kindergarten.
That could be concussion 2.5, possibly 3, if you got one from the hit and then hitting the ground. So
yeah, that's my 4th grade. So
Double
the noggin's a little mushy by this point. But yeah, we lived in Coloma until, I guess if I remember the story right, Barbie Benton, who was one of Hugh Hefner's ex playmates, and she made some appearances on with the Girls Next Door. She bought the place and kicked all the full-time residents out of the trailer park. So in about 1985, we once again had to find some place to live. And there was
by way of a fucking Playboy playmate?
Yeah. Dude, I don't know if we should bleep that name out. I don't know legalities.
No, she's a public figure. Fuck that. Fuck her.
Yeah, so I do remember. I've tried to look it up, but there's no history.
If she bought it, like if what you're saying is true, it doesn't matter. So
yeah,
I know it's record. Not. Yeah, but I don't know if she's the one that actually.
Yeah, she was a looker for sure.
Yeah, allegedly or whatever. So is that where you lived in a camper shell that was set on the ground?
No, that's coming up.
I love that you keep looking at your notes for the timeline. Like, nope, that was later.
No. Well,
Like we're
I'm
in a
trying to speed this
deposition.
up because we spent too much time in kindergarten.
It's all good. We can stretch this to volume 2, 3, 4. That's what I'm at. That's what I pictured in my head to begin
This
with anyway. So
it's like a Ken Burns 55-part Civil War documentary.
yeah. The
Fuck it.
war.
So yeah, we move in with a family that we moved into a house up in Garden Valley
Where's that?
that is between Georgetown and Coloma,
Okay.
and it's where Golden Sierra High School is. Steve, that ring a bell to you?
I mean, barely, and not. It's the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
To our listeners out in Albuquerque or wherever you may be.
We're still around like the base of the Sierra Nevadas ish.
Yeah.
We're in gold country.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we moved in with this family that was uber religious, and it was a 5-bedroom house, and they had 6 kids. So it was my mom, my 2 sisters, and me. It was their 4 boys, 2 girls, and the 4 boys were, I think one of them was older than me, one was younger than me. So when we first moved in, the 3 older of us shared a room, and that quickly did not work out from what I remember. And I ended up moving into a room with my mom. So my mom slept on the couch. I had the bed. She was nice enough to do that for me. And
Little baby Richard, gotta have the full bed.
but that's where I learned to milk goats, and we had to drink goat milk. And I wouldn't drink milk at that time. I'll just use it for cereal. But crazy time. I have to go out and milk the goat. Cut a head off a chicken. We ate it. Don't worry.
You ate the head?
You use the whole thing, man. It was a crazy time. I remember we had a dog, my sister's dog, and one of those little rat bastard kids threw my sister's dog off the balcony, and this is on a raised balcony overlook on a hill. Like, these people were hellions. They were religious as fuck. My mom she wanted us to go to church with them, and I think we went 3 times, and she's all, fuck that. She didn't say that, but she's all, yeah, we're not going there again. It was a different, usually living in a trailer just amongst yourselves, and then you move in with, I don't know, party of 5 or not. What's that? 17 family or whatever.
When you move in with the branch,
the what?
The Branch Davidians.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's like, so we were in a cult
for 3 weeks, and then we got out.
Dude, I don't want to be insensitive with the name, but like, have you ever seen The Slums of Beverly Hills?
No.
It's a movie about people who are like nomadic, and that's the dude, one of the main dudes, and like you watch the trailer, he's like, nomads, they move. Like, because the sister is like, why the fuck do we always got to move from place to place to place? And that's what it's. The fuck is his name? Oh man, it's gonna piss me off. Something vicious. I can't remember his name. But it's from like 1999. It's called The Slums of Beverly Hills, and they do this. That they're like nomads. They move from place to place. Alan Arkin plays the dad, and it's like the dad and his son and daughter, maybe another kid, and they're just like, I don't know if he's like crooked and they're on the lam or something. It's been such a long. It's from like 1997, the movie, but I'm getting echoes of that, like hearing you like, and then we were here and here and here and like so many different places. You should check that movie out.
Well, we're getting ready to head to one of Steve's favorite places now.
Where are we off to now?
Well, I'm still at when we left Coloma, moved to Garden Valley, but I went to Georgetown Elementary. And I actually stayed there longer than any other school, from 5th grade to the 7th grade. But so we lived with the Branch Davidians, as Steve referred to them. And then
the Heaven's Gate people.
Yeah. Got my Keds on.
They were Nikes.
Yeah. There was a SNL sketch where it was Keds. Oh no, it was,
and they had like
Keds.
They had $9 in dimes instead of quarters in their pockets.
Yeah. we moved to a place called Kelsey. So it's still in going to the same school. It's kind of between Garden Valley and Coloma where we lived. And like the
So
road,
not Kelseyville, but a town
no,
called
Kelsey.
Kelsey.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we lived about 2 mile walk from the main road off where the bus stop would drop us off. And Jennifer and I would have to walk. This is the place where we lived basically off the grid. We had a generator, and then we would
Go out there and fire the Jenny up.
So, yeah, we'd come home from school.
It's funny because you think this is one of my favorite stories. It is,
Yeah.
but it's also leading into one of my actual favorite stories that I don't think you want to tell, but I'm going to force you to. So continue on. So your family lived under generator power, correct?
Yeah. And our water, we would have to either get from the creek, or if you had the truck loaded up with jugs.
Did you have to treat it with fucking iodide?
No.
There was a great spot off the side of the road north of Georgetown that had fresh mountain spring water. So we would fill up the jugs then if we were up in the area. Otherwise, if we were desperate, we would head down to the creek and would fill up as much water. Then you'd have to boil your water.
Oh, yeah.
To use it for any kind of eating or drinking. Bathing. I used to wash myself with a rag on a stick.
On a
Yeah, we didn't have
stick.
running water. We had to just keep outside like a bear in the woods.
What are you, a giraffe? Why do you need a stick to wash yourself?
How are you going to get your back?
How are you going to get your crevice?
That's a Bart Simpson line, so I have to give credit so I don't get sued.
Oh, Christ.
But that's how in the morning, that's how you'd wash yourself, bathe yourself. And then that's where I sit in the school one day in an assembly or PE. Somebody called me Dirt Boy, and then that picked up and hung on for a while. But luckily for me, I moved schools a lot. So I never really brought my old nicknames to the new schools along the way.
You're like a snake, like you were able to shed personas from like place to place. Like, yeah, dude, that's crazy because like, yeah, if you're like a kid and like you go to the same school for 7 years or 15 years, whatever the fuck it is, and something happens, like a formative moment like that, and then it gets attached to you, like, oh, that's like, pee your pants girl or whatever, that's crazy. You went on all these different. So it wasn't very long that you had that stigma or that moniker.
Yeah, unfortunately, my dumbass brings all this shit up to my friends later on in life, and so they all get recycled.
Well, then I doubt your personal hygiene improved vastly after that. So they probably just gave you some new nickname. But it's like in a Superbad where he's like, "Oh, that guy shit his pants in fourth, and that guy shit his pants." It's like that was fourth grade. It's like people don't forget.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where.
Quick question. I don't know if it's in the same area, but have you? This is like some deep California rabbit hole. But have you ever heard of Maybe, California?
Maybe.
The town of Maybe, maybe or Cool, California.
Cool, I know. Yeah, Cool's right down the road from everywhere I'm talking about right now.
Oh, really?
It's a little further down the road, but
okay.
Yeah, Cool's
Sorry, that was just a quick
like
aside.
A 14-mile drive from Georgetown.
Okay.
But yeah, so that place, no power, no water, no bathroom. Lived there for about, I don't know, a year and a half maybe, as my mom was dating this guy, Shane. And that was her first boyfriend since she finally left Bob. And yeah.
So I kind of cut you off with the generator story. So you would conserve energy as much as you could, right?
Yeah.
And then you would go to school, and then when you went to school, you believed that they would turn the generator on.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Well, you know, you'd get up walking home after long. It's like 5:30 by the time you're finally getting, probably later than that, 6.
Yeah.
You finally have to do a switchback up and down this shitty ass dirt road, crest the top of the hill, and then I would swear to God he would see us, and then you'd just hear the generator shut off, and then it was get back in there. It was like candle power till about 7 p.m. and they're okay. We can turn the generator on again. But I know sometimes I heard that motherfucker shut off on the way.
Yeah, just as soon as you would crest the hill.
Crest the hill, yeah. And it sucked too because I spent the first part of that time sleeping on the couch in the trailer, and then at one point I got my own pad. It was pretty cool. It was the first time I think I really had my own room, and so we had this camper shell. Steve always envisioned just a flat camper shell you put straight on to the back of your truck that meets up at the top of the roof of your cab. But no, this thing was special, man. It had the poles for like when you needed to set it down.
So it's like an over the cab camper.
Yeah, it was nice.
It does like a little oopsie doo up the top to where you got that little crawl space up atop. What do they call that? Like mom's attic in like U-Hauls and shit?
Yeah.
You love phrases.
I do love phrases. Yeah. So if anybody else can't picture this, it's like picture the quote unquote mom's attic in the U-Haul. It's like a little that comes up over the top of the cab. So it's like enough space to where you could like a ladder up and have like a bed.
Or if you've seen Twister, one of the campers is like a truck, like it's like
it fits over the truck bed, and then the other, that little half fits over the top of like the ceiling of the truck if you were in like a little pickup.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so imagine that without
that's fucking bitching, man.
Yeah, but no power, so everything I had out there was just candlelight. So it'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go do my homework at the end of the night and go to bed in the cold. But maybe we ran an extension cord out there for whenever the generator was fired up. But
whoa, spoiled.
Yeah, it was what?
Spoiled.
Who gave him the extension cord? He's in that highfalutin camper shitting in tall cotton with the extension cord.
Dude, my sisters had luxury. They actually had one of those like little shell campers that they had. Because I think my mom and Shane were probably tired of us living in there, living up in the big trailer. So they decided to get us our own pads.
Yeah. Well, it's like, fuck, I'm trying to get my fuck on too, man. Like, get these goddamn kids out of here. Jesus
James.
Christ.
Oh, my goodness.
Sorry.
That's in poor taste.
It is. I'm just trying to think like myself, like, okay, where can I put these kids so I can get my fuck on? Get out in the fucking camper shell, you bastards. Sorry. Hey, we're all adults here.
It sounds like you were talking about trying to fuck kids. Like, where can I put these kids so I can get my fuck?
Hey, man, don't put words into my mouth, asshole. You know why. You know what I meant. I'm sorry.
So, Dick, is this around the time frame where you and your sister, because it was such a small, remote area, you and Melissa had to share a bus, and is this around the time where you got thrown off the bus for throwing paper?
No, that's later to come. That's high school. Remember, I said that Melissa and I didn't go to the same school. I mean, if you're paying attention, geez.
Sorry, Jesus Christ.
Oh, you can bring that one up, but yeah.
It wasn't until quarantine.
Well, you could have ridden the same bus, but I didn't know if you went to the same school.
No, she was always having to be bused to some school far away. Or station wagon or kidnapped. I don't know. But her days were long. I did not envy her at all because she had to go so far away to all these schools that, Yeah, it sucked. One of those times is a time I did. So back in Coloma, I feel bad. She spilled hot chocolate in my lap, and I threw a library book at her. It was a book on one of the states, and it was a hardback. And she had the audacity to duck, and it broke a window. And I tried to plead with my mom that it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault because I would have hit her if she didn't duck. I know I'm an asshole, huh?
But I just remember confusing.
It's
logic.
her fault. I would have hit her if she didn't, and
it
not the
burned,
window.
Man. That was some hot chocolate on my lap. I know I'm a dick.
I got to take a leak.
So, how did she spill it on your lap? Was it?
She knocked it over because she was clumsy. So, right, he's going to edit this out, or is he taking this into the bathroom with him?
No, we'll let it go. So I'm picturing you two sitting next to each other. Where are you going?
I was just going to watch. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
All right, back. So we're sitting at a table, Jennifer, Melissa, and I.
No, just hang on.
Yeah, no, this is great pod. I had my headphones on so I could still hear. I had a mind to piss during the stream, but I could feel it. I was like, I only have one empty bottle in here that I could piss into, and I was like, this is definitely a 2 or 3 bottle piss situation. So I was like, I'm gonna take it to the actual abode or commode. That's what it is.
Dick, what kind of
remember that story where I told you where I don't know why, man. I was like in my living room.
Can I guess what you're going to say? Yeah, it was when you lived in the Joshua Tree Apartments. My autism is, and you were pissing in the Gatorade bottle, but you wanted to lean over to grab your Xbox remote. Yeah. But you didn't want to stop pissing, so you leaned over the couch to grab your Xbox remote. And your dick came out of the Gatorade wide mouth bottle and began pissing all over the couch, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was so lazy or like conscious of time that I didn't want to just stop, walk 5 feet to the pisser and take a piss and then go back and resume my game. I was like, oh no, I can reach it. And I reached, the act of reaching whilst still pissing into and making the conscious choice to piss into a Gatorade bottle, like straddling a couch. I don't know why. To reach over for the controller. Yeah, it like popped out and fucking I pissed all over. Short story, I pissed all over my couch. Another question I have to you guys. Have you ever... whether it's in like a drunken or semi-drunken stupor or completely Jaybird's like sober, it was just more of like, it was more economical to do so. Have you ever pissed in the trash can?
No, at the school I was in at the time, Georgetown, that I was currently at, I did the first time I ever got detention. I went in the bathroom, nobody was there, so I was pissing into the floor drain. And some kid who...
That's so fun.
I was trying to see it. I was just trying to... nobody was around, and this kid walked in who was younger than me, and I didn't know he could identify me, but I stopped, and I finished pissing in the urinal, left. Well, about an hour later, here comes the principal, pulls me out. This kid did know who I was, identified me, and I had a week's worth of detention.
That's him. That's the floor drain pisser.
Yeah, that was
fucking narc. What an asshole.
That's like
if I would have seen that, I'd be like, "Hey, good on you, man. That's fucking cool." It's always fun. That's one thing that's unique to being a dude. I think is being able to piss wherever you think you can get away with doing so, or just wherever you want. It's just fun. I don't think anybody else without a dick would understand that. So
I've seen some chicks.
You would do it too. Yeah, dude. I was gonna say, man.
I've seen some pretty aggressive, some pretty aggressive pissing. in places like I would never have the balls to do it. Like in between two cars on a busy street, like I'll just pop a squat right here. Like I would never have the courage to do that. Mostly because I'd be afraid of getting arrested and charged with like a sex crime. But they're like, fuck it, I'll just pull my ass out. I'll just pop it.
Dude, that's very true. Especially now, like if you roam the depths of Reddit for any length of time, you'll see like on like subreddits like crazy shit or like instant chaos or something. I just saw one the other day. This bitch started pissing like right out the back of her skirt on a fucking escalator going up. I was like, dude, I would never do that. It's so cool because she's just going up the escalator and she's just pissing backwards. She pulls her shit up. She's like, Uber, here we go. I'm going home. Fuck. Oh, fuck. Dude, yeah. Anyway, back to my initial question. Pissing in the trash can. I don't know. Something about it's just fun. Especially if there's like...
thrown in a trash can. But...
There's...
Same school.
Like dirty work style, like full body hitting like the top and going into a big industrial trash can.
No, this
or
is
like
are we talking a schoolyard
stuffed into a trash can like the round,
not head first, but ass first. A couple bullies.
That's
what?
Man.
Just put me up and threw me in a trash can. It's all right. I got over it. And that's around the same time as concussion. I don't know if this is concussion, but that's when we were playing rock tag. And I was running, and from somebody who was
running.
Yeah, and I turned around and ran straight into a fence post, steel fence post, and busted my face open. But I did get, I didn't cry, and some people were impressed by that because I had a lot of blood on my face. So, and after I finally got some street cred, we left that town. So when I finally did something cool,
that's the other end of the spectrum. Like you move around so much, you do something cool, and you get that fucking chip on your shoulder. You lose that too. So it's like you got to fucking start your character all over again.
Yeah.
Like if you were playing through like an RPG, it's like, yeah, I fucking ate that and didn't cry. It's like no one knows. You're in a fucking completely different town.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm here. I'm the rock tag champion of
fifth grade rock tag champion,
San Joaquin district. Like,
so yeah, when we finally had enough of living with nothing, we moved back in. We moved to Bangor, which is here in Butte County, California. And Bangor was interesting because it was kindergarten through 8th grade. Kindergarten and first was one teacher for second and third. 4th, 5th, and 6th had one teacher.
Oh, God.
And then 7th and 8th.
Whoever that is a saint.
Yeah. She was actually pretty cool. I can't remember her name, but...
She'd have to be.
7th and 8th was when I was there. And, yeah, it was a pretty interesting school. That's when I rode the short bus. We only had 2 buses to pick people up, and so we had a regular bus, and then we had the short yellow bus. And fortunately, my route was on the short bus.
There are many jokes that can be made right now, but we won't.
Well, that's okay. But, yeah, Melissa had to go to Central in Oroville, so she was bused further out. Once again, not going to the school that I went to.
Right.
And Bangor was an interesting area. I don't think I had any concussions then. But just so small. There was only 2 8th grade boys. So when I was there in 8th grade.
Holy shit.
Yeah, there was only 2 boys. And ironically, years later when I was going to Butte College, I had a history class. And this kid sitting up next to me when they were like reading off first day, and they're all so-and-so. And I was like, holy shit. Tapped them all, hey, you went to Bangor, huh? He's all, yeah. It was just so weird because I'd never.
Yeah, that's super weird.
Yeah, definitely
of all
weird.
the things, he ended up in the same class as me at one point.
Yeah, weird.
But
Not
Yeah,
ironic.
definitely not weird. Not as
Not
weird as
ironic
like
at
if
all.
you had like 100 or 500 kids in your 8th grade class, but if you had two, and then you just so happen to be in a college class with that person, even though it's in roughly the same geographic area, that's still cutting it really tight.
so we lived there until about March of '90, and then that's a big point in my life because there is nobody I know in my life other than my family that I knew before then. Everybody else that I know through social media or personally now that is part of my life, I met from March of '90 on.
So
So it's
post
kind of weird. I
90.
was 14 years old before where my life as I currently know it, as far as the
Right.
people I know, started. Everything else is just and I have a very small family. Like I said, don't know my
Right.
dad's side of the family.
Hmm.
Lost a lot of people on my mom's side of the family. So it's just kind of weird. I think about that every now and then that, where most people, even now through social media, if you went to somewhere, you're going to meet up with somebody on Facebook or something where you're like, oh, I
Yeah,
remember
it's
we were school together, blah,
way
blah, blah.
easier to find people and connect.
I've tried to look up a couple people names I remembered and never found anything and didn't really care, but I was just wondering, like, oh, I wonder what the fuck this guy's up to, and never found him. Um, but yeah, so we had to leave Bangor because the lady we moved in with, my mom's dog show friend that we moved to Coloma with, had some animal abuse charges against her, which brought my mom into it, which my mom was not part of, but we lived on the property. Um,
Jesus.
so we, so yeah, my mom didn't have anything go on with that. It sucked because her name was involved. We lived there on that property. We had different residences, but
Were they accusing her of like running a puppy mill or something? Or
no, it was just neglect more than anything. I remember
Okay.
when we were living there, we moved there and there was this horse barn. And I remember I earned like $88 to buy a black and white TV so I can watch sports because my mom and sisters didn't like sports. If there was something on they wanted to watch, I lose out. So sitting there, I remember spending the first year there just shoveling horse manure forever. And we went to the Kmart and I bought myself a little 13-inch black and white TV.
Nice.
Who remembers? Anybody have the old antenna where somebody had to like touch it, hold it in
oh
order for
yeah,
it to come in?
Oh yeah.
and the
I
two
remember
dials where you had to fuck with
I
both of them.
I had like I can't remember what it was. It was like for camping. It was like a camping TV, and it had rabbit ears on it, and it was probably from like Kmart or Sears or something like that, and it was like it was like a 4.5-inch screen probably, and it had a dial like a radio
Yeah,
for the TV, and you had to like thumb it just right and get the rabbit ears just right to get like channel 4 or like channel 10 or channel 14, whatever, but yeah, that's insane for a black and white. How much did that run back in those days, that
I think it was
TV?
like 80 something bucks.
Holy
But for me, it
fuck.
was worth it. Yeah.
It's like now for like $115 you can get like a 32-inch flat screen from fucking Walmart. It's insane.
Times have changed. But so, as far as I know, my aunt gave us some money, and I say gave because I'm sure it was a loan. Not sure how much how much a down payment had to be either. But she found a piece of property in Corning outside, close to where the casino's at now.
Okay.
2 acres with a 50-foot single wide mobile home on it. Had
Well,
2 bedrooms and a third den, which obviously was somebody's bedroom. And then there was a smaller trailer out back. Had a rickety old barn and a couple sheds on it. And I'm not sure what the price we paid then for that was, but moved in there in March of '90 and went to Maywood for the junior high for about 3 months. Met a couple people, didn't have friends with anybody, so I just spent the summer pretty much riding my bike around. And my mom, in order to make us, she didn't want us sitting around watching TV all day, so we got to go pick star thistle out of the back. So the first acre was the
Oh
old barn
man.
and the house. The back place was just field and a lot of star thistle. So I'd go out there because I wanted to watch TV, and I'd pick a shit ton of star thistle.
Jesus
And,
Christ.
oh yeah. And then we got
a quick point of order. Like a lot of people think about California, like they think about like ocean surf, like, you know, Bay Area, San Francisco. There's a shit ton of the state that's just like fucking not like that at all. Like in the region where we're talking, like Northern California, like in the summer, everything goes like yellow. The fucking grass, the fucking hillsides. I mean, if you go in the dead of summer in these parts of California, to me, I imagine it being no less like desolate and like unforgiving as like West Texas. Like some like just like not high desert, but it's just miserable in the summer because all you see is dead grass, star thistle up the fucking ass. If you don't know what star thistle is, then I can't help you. But yeah, picking
tumbleweed
that
hurts
shit in
more.
the dead of summer sounds fucking miserable.
And that's pretty much all the way until you hit Bakersfield. I mean, that whole
Yeah,
valley. I mean,
yeah.
unless it's some
It's like
nice
the
lush green farmland, it's not a pretty sight in the summer.
no. Yeah, and you get if you drive down I-5 like north to south California, like northern all the way to Los Angeles, yeah, it's pretty fucking desolate. It's pretty like there's dairies and there's like just wide swaths of like dead grass. It's like it's so easy to you just put that on cruise control, you take I-5 north and fucking take a nap, you know?
Yeah.
There's nothing.
So, finished up 8th grade there. Spent the summer pretty much hanging out with the family. One good thing is every year we have a cabin. So every year that would be our one vacation because my mom always had animals. So we weren't ever really able to go anywhere because you'd have to have somebody take care of the animals. So
Oh yeah, I know how
we'll
that
find
is.
one of the neighbor kids, and they'll come over and make sure that things are taken care of when we were gone for. And it would only be a weekend. It's not like we'd go for a week or anything. When we'd leave town, it
Right.
would be for a short period of time. Entered high school, which was a great experience, man. I fucking loved. I wasn't, popular or anything. Had my good, close knit couple of friends. Wish I would have done more. Years after graduated, started hanging out with people a lot more, and they'd even say, "Why don't you ever come to this or that?" But it was just I hung out with my couple of friends, and would do stupid shit. Would go steal all the like wheels and deals, and take old clothes, make dummies, and put them off in a bush in the ditch on the side of the road, and just sit out and watch cars drive down the road. Stop, oh man. Good times are had by all. We did some other more crazy shit. Don't want to get into today.
You never
Maybe
did Cardboard Kitty?
no, what's that?
It's where you take you like rig up like with cardboard and you cut eyes out and you put like you stencil in like a cat and then you cut out eye holes and you put in like tinfoil behind where the eyes are and you rig it up on like a fishing line or a string or something and you get on the other side of the street.
That's so funny
To
because
where
I got
you
an
pull
exact-
it up and it props up and it looks like a cat and then the fucking eyes and it's at nighttime. So when cars go by, their headlights shine and hit the fucking tinfoil in the back of the eyes and they see eyes. And you wait and you just sit there and hope they like swerve or do something. It's fucking really stupid. But
No. We did this same goddamn thing except with the Garfield. So we're sitting out there not far from where we put the dummy. And so we're sitting out there forever. And so and these people, I don't think this house, nobody lived in it at the time. So we went on telephone pole, hole in the fence across the street, Garfield in the road. And as this car came down, pulled the string. So Garfield started levitating. Well, the car was actually somebody we went to school with. Later became a pretty good friend. Knew who in the fuck lived down there, And so he just drove right through that thing and took it down the road. But yeah, it's kind of funny. So no
Just took
stencils
Garfield for a ride.
But yeah, we thought we were so funny, like wait for Garfield or a car to come down. And sorry for the
dude.
cat cruelty, Steve. I know you're probably
Yeah,
feeling something.
when we did that, nothing ever happened, but just like the tension of like having it rigged up and like, oh, a car's coming, you know, and like you get to yank it and like hope they do something. Like in retrospect, yeah, it's really stupid because it could swerve off and like kill you. Like it like swerves right into you, or it fucking hits another car. Yeah, it's really dumb.
Yeah, but I bet you probably weren't in high school when you did that, did you? You were probably a little older.
Close. I think I was like, this was between like 7th and 9th grade when I did that. And it was because it wasn't my idea. Not that I didn't fall in line with it or think it was like a fun thing to do then, but it was like a couple hellions that lived down the block that were like, have you ever played Cardboard Kitty? You know? And I was like, no. And it's like, we're doing it. So yeah, I was no angel, but thank God nothing happened, you know? Really dumb though.
Yeah, no, it was stupid. A lot of things, and there were some dumber things that people
did.
That I was not.
Just to back up briefly, where are we at right now? Where you spent the bulk of your formative high school years is Corning?
Yeah. Well, I spent all high school in Corning, and
so you were there freshman to senior year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so we're in Northern.
No, California. It was cool. I did when I moved to Corning. The only year I ever played baseball was 8th grade. I was on the Reds. I sucked. I remember couldn't afford a uniform. I was wearing like acid wash jeans out there. Like halfway through the season, the coach finally brought me a pair of baseball pants. Oh, and that was terrible, but I don't think I was the worst on the team. And then played I played my football for the first time JV year, so I was basically a tackling dummy in practice. Got into like tackling 2 games. Fuel. Yeah, I didn't hit or sit. Well, I sat. I didn't hit, I guess.
Would you got that shirt out?
Dude, I almost said that exact same thing.
Sorry, I had to. What's that?
I didn't hear what you said.
I said, would you play left out?
Oh, yeah. I got to warm the quarterback up one day, like playing catch with them. That was cool.
Nice.
But, yeah, so, I mean, I didn't have, a big, fun high school experience, but now we're getting to a Steve story that he'd like to hear.
Yeah.
So, me and my buddies we had long bus rides, and we were always the first on the bus. We were always the last off the bus, give or take a few kids. And one day, me and my buddy John were sitting there. Or everybody would throw shit around on the bus. Paper, like we're not throwing fucking ninja stars and shit like that. But
sure.
I remember one day my sister was sitting up at the front of the bus, and I decided to take a wad of paper and I threw it at her, hit the bus driver as she was driving, and promptly got kicked off the bus for being an asshole.
Yeah. I got to spend yelling on the bus.
And this, to those who have not been keeping up, Melissa is your special needs sister, right?
Yes.
So
we have a special relationship. She loves me, all right? Wasn't going to hurt her. I know I'm a dick.
So you got thrown off the bus for assaulting and battering your special needs sister. Okay, so the driver tells you to get the fuck off the bus. And then what else happens?
How far away are you from home?
Yeah, great question.
Oh, no, I got dropped off that day. I was just expelled off the bus once it was reported.
Oh, gotcha. So they finished the route. She didn't stop in the fucking boondocks and was like, get fucking kick rocks?
No. I don't think that's legally allowed.
The story is changing, by the way.
That's what I pictured in my head. Yeah. Like she's just like leaves you in the middle of fucking nowhere.
I spent the next like month and a half walking home from school. Normally, I'll go into town, hang out at my friend's house, and then later on walk home. So it wasn't like a full walk every day, walking the tracks. But yeah, we'll tell the rest of that story some other time, eh, Steve?
Well, you can tell it now, or
I don't want to do that one on this day. We can bring that one. We can
we can
edit
leave
out the whole bus story.
we can leave a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
We can
we
live
can
with-
plant seeds for future. Because I mean, no, your life cycle. I mean, it's got to be multiple
All right.
volumes here. So
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll try to clean this up, and then I'll just say we can tell that story later in the future. Is that good?
yeah,
Because I know what
Yeah,
Steve wants to hear.
It seems like it. Yeah, I do. And I think this is a good spot to kind of clip it.
like end the episode. Do you think?
I think so.
Yeah, because I mean, we're at an hour and 40, and I think I think this has been pretty substantial, and I feel like it would be short shrift to like just try to like tag on and tell the story about your mom and like how she died. Like, I don't want to exploit that, like how we've talked about, but I also don't want to like have you tie this up in 20 minutes or 10-minute thing, because like the impact and at the beginning too, Steve was talking about like the impact and how what makes you unique as a person is like being able to move on from that and be the person that you are. I think that's the interesting story too, and one that has the most merit, because like you're one of these people that is able to just take whatever is fucking thrown at you and be an even better person. Whereas, like most people, I imagine this happening to, like for sure me, I would have just crumpled like completely and had it
Yeah, and to be clear,
fuck me
we're
up
talking
in a
about
way
my
that I
mom
can't
and
imagine.
not the bus aftermath, right?
Right. Yeah. Not something as superfluous as like something that happened on a bus when you're in fucking 10th grade. But no, yeah, like these formative moments in your life, like I can't imagine having to move on from that and the other things that you have. And I think that's the interesting part, and why we wanted to have you on was like why like the person that you are and the people that gravitate towards you, the kind of energy that you put out, like any other person, it would fucking decimate them, and I think that's the most interesting part about you, is like all the fucked up things that have happened to you, and like namely like your mom being murdered. Like I can't imagine moving on from that in the style that you have.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I get that a lot because when I tell the story, most people are in shock
Yeah.
that I'm actually just there, like A, being able to tell the story, and B,
Yeah.
even there not face tattooed and just coming out of the joint for doing something stupid.
Yeah.
Right. Because like the normal like mere mortal, that would send them into a fucking tailspin, I'm sure. And I mean, you can probably look at that and see that's happened to people hundreds, thousands of times. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good point to stop off, because like I said, I don't want to
Yeah, we don't want to
like append that and make it like a quick side note. Like that's an
I
important
spent
thing.
too much time
you
in
wanted
kindergarten.
Well, no, I think, and when we were talking before too, like this all culminates, it adds up to that event in your life, and it's not not just this one thing that defines you, right? It's like like the sum of all these different things that you've encountered in your life is what makes you who you are. That's any person, but you specifically, like these things ladder up, and I know something like that, like I've said it over and over again, like I can't imagine it happening to me, blah blah blah, and being the person you are, like that you would give your shirt on the back for someone, like I think that needs to be explored, like and give it its proper respect and like and due time. So I've had a great time like just listening and hearing about like, you know, getting up to that point and then beyond too is probably even more interesting. Is what I'm getting at, really.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
But okay, so you guys want to put a pin in it there, and we'll bring it back for volume 2.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
Now that I've gone through this, I think that I can prepare for this next segment a little bit better. It's my first try. Appreciate you
Yeah,
guys having me on, and
There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's a lot
no,
to go. It's a
yeah,
lot to go over.
yeah, I could have gone, as you know, I pretty much sped through a couple grades.
Oh
Um,
my God, are you saying it could have been longer? Jesus
oh,
Christ!
once you guys told me we need to start speeding this up, and first
well, we
grade, I
did.
was like,
There
oh,
was
fuck.
a Yeah, there was a jump from
But
about early middle school to, later high school. So
wrap
there's
it up,
parts there.
B. Yeah, it's
No,
not wrap it up,
that
flashing.
that's not what I mean. But I mean, I think it'd be
Fine.
also interesting too, like if we could like think on it like as a brain trust and think about like maybe if we can like tie this to like a movie or something like that has like a common theme, because I think stuff would come out of that too, just stories or anecdotes that you have throughout your life. Given like the theme would be a movie that we're talking about, we can center it on. We can go off on tangents that way too, but
I could
or
not.
maybe not. That's just an idea. But
I couldn't disagree more. Like, I feel like Dick's story is so good from beginning to end, and I would hate to dilute it by, I mean, as terrible of a storyteller Dick is,
I am terrible.
I feel like there is so much good there that can be taken out. I would just hate to dilute it with any sort of like equivalency or comparison.
yeah,
I think the more I feel bad for you editing it because I feel like we could do 10 episodes that could be cut down to like 2 or 3, but no.
no, I'm gonna let this one ride for the most part. I mean, honestly, I think this has been a fun discussion, at least for me, and like it's interesting. Like,
Yeah.
um, I think so. Yeah, I don't think editing will be bad at all for this one. Yeah, let's put a pin in it there because, like Steve said, yeah, I agree. Like not wanting to dilute it and try to like append a 10-minute blurb about a significant event in your life.
No, going through this right now, I know that when I get into that story, I mean, it can be if I get into details, it's going to be its own
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be
story
its own
alone.
episode, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like it'll be its own talking point.
Yeah.
And it'll probably have a more somber tone, and we can talk about things that are more not as jokey, haha, but I think are worth talking about. And
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, too, like I always heard working with you and you coming on, and we spend so much of our lives together. I heard about what happened to your mom, and I never thought to like ask you about it or talk about it, because if I were in that position, I wouldn't want someone asking me about that and like fucking with me about that. But you're open to it, right? And you want to tell that story, and that's another thing that like kind of brings me to my knees. It's like you said this is one of the things I feel most comfortable talking about, and it's like it's not that you're wanting to exploit it or get into like the gory details, but you want to talk about your mom because you loved her, and you want to talk about like how this impacted you and what it meant to you. I think that's important.
Well, and she deserves the attention.
Right. Yeah. As Steve eloquently, that's the important part, and it's my way of trying to say I'm interested in that. I want to hear about it as your friend, and I'm curious about it. But previous to like this format, it just never seemed right to like ask you about it or talk about it. So it's one thing I'm like curious about, not in a morbid way, but just like how it's shaped you as a person. And like I've never had the moment to like sit down and like, hey, like how has this impacted you, or like how did you get over that? Like how did you get through that? And I think that would could be valuable to anyone because,
and I think it is too. That's why I want to tell the story. I think that's the most important thing is
because it's like people are so like sensitive about things these days, and like you've gone through so much and overcome them and been able to live with them. I think it's a positive example and of going through like an extreme trauma and coming out on the other side like the person that you are and the people that everyone around you loves. I just think it's a good story, you know, and I don't know about it, and I think this is a good format to like talk about it, and just not even for like sharing this podcast to others and like having them listen about you, but for me and Steve too. I'm sure he agrees, like getting to know you better, even though we've known each other 10 plus years. You know, this is like the most impactful moment of your life that I don't even know about. I've only heard like, oh yeah, his mom was murdered, and like, you know, oh fuck, man. And like, this is one of my favorite people in the world, and like, how did you do that? I'm curious, you know. So fuck, I'm rambling, but yeah, I think that deserves more than just like tagging this on for the sake of ending an episode and getting to a certain point.
Yeah, I'm down. Just
Cool.
let me know when you want me to do it again, and I'll be a little more comfortable this time starting out. I think I'll do a little less pre-gaming starting out. After Steve left, I went and bought an 18-pack, drank like 6, took a nap, and then got up and then logged on like a half hour before Jim asked if I was ready. I was like waiting for him to accept my
just click and refresh over and over.
It's kind of a weird animal, this thing, but like, yeah, after you start talking to someone and you forget that what you're doing really, and it's just, you know, 2 friends or 3 friends talking about something. So yeah, I think that's a good idea too. Like this is like a good, like getting into it and having a feel, and then we can just go on the next one. So yeah, I think this is a good stopping point. And if you're interested thus far, I mean, there's definitely more to come from Richard's story, and we'll have fun asides along the way, the way we did with this episode too. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, stay tuned. Also, you can let us know what you thought of the episode or have any general questions. You can email us at wax@waxingtheporpoise.com. You can also follow us on socials. Instagram is Waxing the Porpoise, and we're also on Twitter at Waxing the Porp. Thank you for coming on, Dick. I really appreciate you kind of like bearing your soul a little bit and agreeing to talk, even though it's at the end of the day, it's really just us, you know, bullshitting about stuff. But it's been really cool to learn more about your background, even though we've known each other so long. Like sincerely, like it's been a fun discussion, even though, you know, peppered with things that aren't fun, you know.
Oh, they were fun for me.
I mean, I've had.
I've always had a positive outlook on life. So whenever I told a story and people were like, "Oh," and I was like, shit, it wasn't that bad," you know. Get up the next day, got a smile on my face, and go, like, it's just how my like.
It's like a toughness you have. It's a toughness you have without being a fucking asshole or being like, I'm fucking tough, you know?
Well, obviously, I threw paper at my sister on the bus. I'm a dick. But I'm not an asshole. But I loved her. But yeah, no, I have enjoyed it. And like I said, that's one thing that people always say. They're all like, when I tell stories, and there were so many through that whole grammar, edit that out. Grammar school era that I did not expound upon, but
what the fuck are you talking about? Can we just call it a night? Jesus Christ!
All right, so thank you very much for joining us, Dick.
I
thought that was the
already did the wrap up.
This is the real wrap up.
Oh, my bad.
He's got a lot of editing to do at the end.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us, humoring us, and Dick, thank you very much for coming on and telling us about you. I mean, it's been interesting. It's been fun. I see this being, you know, like we said, like we talked about, multiple volumes, and I think it'll be a fun ride. And two, I mean, if there's anything ever that you want to come on and talk about, like fucking, I know you're not like the world's foremost movie buff, but if you want to talk about movies or like an interesting case or something like that, we'd love to have you on too. Outside of like personal experience.
Like I really got into like true crime. I don't listen to podcasts, but watch a lot of Forensic Files and shit like that. And yeah, we can do Airplane. Steve, want to do Airplane?
Love it.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
Airplane is a good one, but
But I know your guys' thing is Steve.
Well, it's not explicitly.
I
mean, that's like the basic like crux of the show. But we've deviated before, and we will again too. So,
well, if you ever step into the comedy genre,
dude, I thought of you today.
That's usually my wheelhouse. Or anything. Michael Douglas.
Falling Down is a great.
What about Falling Down one day?
Well, fuck you very much.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That's one of my favorite lines. Yeah, what was I going to say? I thought of you today. There, I saw the whole state of Iowa put up a line from Christmas Vacation. What was it, dude? It was something about slippery roads and Todd and Margot. Oh yeah. So 2 days ago, there were some storms that come through the Midwest, and like those Department of Transportation, like those digital signs they put on the highway when shit's like popping off. The entire state of Iowa.
Megan's Law.
Dude, of course he keys in on Megan's Law. Like, yeah, I know, I gotta avoid him all the time.
Yeah,
what you're thinking of is like, click it or ticket. Dick's like, yeah, they fucking warn other people that I'm in the area and I'm gonna kidnap people and fucking Megan's Law. And I mean, the charges never stuck, but they're still gonna accuse me. And
I'm just saying the digital ones, and that's usually what they're up there for.
No, they had in the entire state of Iowa, they had these like over the overpasses on the freeways. They had they call them roadside chats, and it was 316 traffic deaths this year. And then it was why is the road wet, Todd? Slow down, Margot. Call back to
Todd. I don't know, Margot.
'Tis the season for Christmas Vacation. So yeah, that one. Oh, bullshit.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen
Don't
Christmas Vacation? Holy fuck.
Nope.
That would actually be a perfect one for us to discuss with Dick.
Put it on my tab.
Dude, that's a good one.
Yeah, dude, watch it.
That might have to be like an emergency, like we watch that, because that's insane. You haven't seen Christmas Vacation and you're 36 years-ish of age.
Yeah.
That's a chop.
35, dickhead. That's a
all
chop.
Right, cool. He just turned 30?
JJ just turned 30.
Weird.
Yeah, the other day.
Who?
JJ?
Gerald.
Oh, Gerald.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's going to end it for us. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let us know what you thought. Leave us a like, rating, review, all that good shit, whatever the fuck you want. And we'll see you when we see you, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Tell your friends.
Talk to you later.